Welcome back to my Vision News. I have one update for you on a previous news story and four new news stories. The update is about the release of Ethiopian Human Rights Council workers. We know that more than a week ago, three workers and one driver of this Ethiopian human rights body were arrested by Oromo Region's police. The team was investigating complaints about demolition of houses in Addis Ababa on Addis Ababa-Oromia border. But Oromia regional forces arrested the members of the team. Then we saw statements, calls for the release of these human rights workers from international human rights organizations. The workers of Human Rights Council of Ethiopia have been released on bail. Now, four news stories. First one is about Zemene Kassie, Fano commander, who has sent a letter from prison reportedly. He's in Bahidar, I think. What is this letter about? Secondly, France today signed a financial support agreement with Ethiopia. French and German foreign ministers are in Ethiopia these days. Thirdly, a commander of ISIS, a terrorist organization who is from Ethiopia, was killed in Somalia. And lastly, viewers, Eritrea leveled some allegations against world powers at a UN Security Council open session. The session was about international peace and security, rule of law, international peace and security, and there Sophia Tesfamariam leveled some allegations against world powers. Similar allegations are leveled against Eritrea too. Firstly, viewers, Zemene Kassie, Fano commander from Gajam, was arrested several weeks ago. Last year, we know that Ethiopian federal government and Amhara regional government, they launched a crackdown on Fano commanders. The Fano commanders were arrested, they fled. Some are still on the run. Masrisha is nowhere to be seen. His whereabouts unknown. Government tried to disarm Fano, especially Gajam Fano. That led to clashes. Some were killed, some Fano fighters, and hundreds of Fano fighters, they were arrested and put in prison. Zemene Kassie fled too. Later he was arrested, and now he is at Bahidar prison, from where he has released a message which is in the form of a letter. You can see the letter on your screen, which reportedly is from Zemene Kassie. What is his message? Simple message. He is calling upon people to overcome fear. That only through overcoming fear, people can be independent. I think he's trying to send a message to the people of the Amhara region that they should be brave. They should work to protect their rights and interests. They shouldn't be scared that they'll be put in prison, they'll be facing persecution, and he is presenting himself as a role model that he is in prison, but still he is strong and he will never compromise when it comes to protection of Amhara interests. Zemene Kassie has a following in Amhara region of Ethiopia, but government, federal and regional, they have decided to silence hardliner Amhara groups and person in Ethiopia. That is why I personally think Zemene Kassie's release is not expected anytime soon. It could happen. He'll have to make a compromise. Like Jawar was put in prison, and before his imprisonment, Jawar before imprisonment and today's Jawar are different Jawars. Jawar has become very restrained after his release. So maybe a similar tactic is being used to silence Fano commanders and to stop them from organizing an armed resistance or armed groups in the Amhara region of Ethiopia. And so far, Fano is in a state of disarray. in Amhara region. And it's not likely that Fano can unite to form a united front against Ethiopian government. Secondly, viewers, France has announced financial support for Ethiopia. French foreign minister and German foreign minister are in Ethiopia these days. The two ladies held meetings. They met with PM Abiy too, and French foreign minister signed financial support agreement with an Ethiopian minister. France will give 32 million US dollars to Ethiopia. 4 million US dollar will be given by EU to Ethiopia, and the money will be spent on reconstruction of war affected areas in northern Ethiopia. It means the work will be done. Money will be spent in Tigray, Amhara, and Afar regions, mainly in Tigray. By the way, France is interested in Ethiopian privatization moves as well. Ethiopian privatization moves are being seen very closely by French, by European investors who want to invest in Ethiopia. And France is hoping to revive an agreement of sale of weapons, maybe Mirage fighter jets to Ethiopia. Ethiopia needs money for reconstruction. As I said in the previous video today, that one key area which should be focused is reconstruction in war-affected areas, for which we need lots of money. International donors conference should be held. France is now announcing this aid, and France and other EU countries, they are supporting reintegration of Tigray fighters into society as well. They are funding the implementation of peace deal too. Thirdly, viewers, an ISIS commander, Islamic State commander who was from Ethiopia, has been killed in Somalia. Abu al-Bara al-Amani is from Ethiopia, reportedly. He was operating in Puntland, Somalia's federal member state. In Bari region, he was killed. It has been confirmed. Ethiopia has managed to keep extremism, armed extremism, in check. Al-Shabaab tried to gain foothold in Ethiopia. It could not. We saw that a few months ago, that Al-Shabaab fighters entered the Somali region of Ethiopia, but they were pushed out. ISIS as well. So Ethiopia has managed to keep its territory free from extremist religious organizations. But if an Ethiopian commander from ISIS has been killed in Somalia, it means that tendency is there. Radicalization could happen if Al-Shabaab, ISIS are not stopped from infiltrating into Ethiopia. Last reviews, Eritrea at a UN Security Council session criticized global powers for their interference, for their unilateral sanctions, and for their proxy wars across the world. Sophia Tesfamariam spoke at a UN Security Council open session which discussed rule of law in international security. And she criticized some powers without naming anyone. She said that some powers were intervening in other countries. They were adopting unilateral coercive measures in the form of sanctions, and they were violating territorial integrity and sovereignty of independent nations. She accused them of starting proxy wars. Obviously, she was pointing her finger towards the US and West. And this is Eritrean official position that US and West are destabilizing the Horn of Africa. African Channel, they are interfering here. They are backing some groups here. They are launching proxy wars. They are imposing unilateral sanctions. But Similar allegations are leveled against Eritrea too, that Eritrea is intervening in neighboring countries. Eritrea has launched proxy wars in Somalia. Eritrea backed Al Shabaab in Somalia. Eritrea backed groups in Ethiopia. It has been backing groups in Ethiopia before 2018. We saw the two countries at loggerheads. So that is what the two say, Eritrea and the West, about each other. Both sides accuse each other of being behind instability in the Horn of Africa. No signs of any improvement of relations between Eritrea and the West, Eritrea and the US. What will the EU and US do? Two foreign ministers from Germany and France are in Ethiopia. They're not visiting Eritrea. Which policy will they adopt to bring about any change in Eritrea or to engage with Eritrea? It's not clear. Will they just keep on issuing statements or will they try to change their policy when it comes to engaging Eritrea? A few days ago, former American shock defense in Eritrea wrote an article and he recommended some actions. He did not propose military solution. He said that West and US, especially US, should try to engage with Eritrea. Diaspora groups should be backed. Regional issues should be resolved. Jeffrey Feltman also wrote in detail about how to counter Eritrean rising influence in the Horn of Africa. But so far, Western and US policies are not working. Eritrea has its reach in the Horn of Africa and no signs of any change inside Eritrea. Isaias Afwerki still in command in Eritrea. Thank you for watching.